Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there? Oh my goodness. Today is Wednesday, March 28th, 2018. I'm Papa Bear, and well, this is what's out there. We're coming to you from LNM Radio Network, LateNightInTheMidlands.com, LNMRadioNetwork.com, and also WCET 101.7 FM, Columbia Talk. And of course, this being Wednesday, we've got Peter Kling. Welcome, Peter. How are you?
Very good, Papa Bear. How are you this morning?
I've seen better days. I went and got my teeth realigned, and the bottom ones are turned, so now they've got to make a whole new plate.
Life always has its adventures, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've bought these things twice already, so whatever. It is what it is, right?
Absolutely.
I've been reading. Yesterday, I went over Yesterday, I did a show, and I talked about being prepared in case there's a currency reset because there were rumors of it. And I watched a video this morning with Field McConnell. And if you don't know who Field McConnell is, he goes by Abel Danger, ABEL Danger. He's at abeldanger.org, O-R-G. And he was talking with Jason Goodman, an interviewer, guy who used to do film, a lot of film work. And he said, hopefully by this time next week, the currency the banks and all that will all be reset because of the things that have happened with the gold-backed currency and such. And of course, it was supposed to, we're watching that happen anyway. And I did mention it, and I told people I don't know that it's going to happen, but it's a good idea to have some cash at home, gold and silver at home if you have it, and if you want to have a little bit in the bank, that's okay too. You never know. You just never know, because when they revalue, I don't know if it's going to go up or down. It could be a benefit, it might not, but gold and silver is always a good hedge, and cash is, like I say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Exactly. Barry, there's been one thing I've consistently gotten wrong. And I don't mind saying this, and I know why I've gotten it wrong. But you can go back to a video that Alfred Weber and I did, I think it was July of 2013, and I said there's a very good chance that we're going to have an economic collapse.
Right.
And all indicators were we're going to have an economic collapse. And since then, all indicators are that we're going to have an economic collapse.
Yeah.
And the balloon just keeps on getting blown up bigger. The stock market goes up higher, and the dollar becomes more inflated. It becomes worth less every year. And sooner or later, we're going to have an economic collapse. Now, why have I been wrong for 5 years? Well, very simple.
It takes time.
No, it's not that it takes time, because it can happen overnight. Literally, it can happen with an executive order.
Well,
it could.
Yeah, right. But, I mean, like the long weekend, okay? They need time to prepare for this.
I watched something. Well, I watched something that, I'm trying to think, was it year before last? I believe it was December before last. Let's take it back 2 years, 2 Decembers ago. And I guess that would make it December before last. Anyway, there was a crack in the junk bond market. and junk bonds started selling off hand over fist. I mean, they just went and went and went for almost 3 days straight. They sold off. Now, this is the junk bonds are that $4 quadrillion worth of fake debt.
The mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah,
And
it's like
such, yeah.
everything that could be added in there. How the heck do we get $4 quadrillion in debt? I don't quite understand. And who do we owe the money to? Well,
That's the question right there.
well, this started selling off, and at the end of the third day, there was a buy order for, I believe, it was $80 million. One single buy order for $80 million. Now, who has $80 million to go throw down in the junk bond market?
Right.
Okay.
China.
Now, Rothschilds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So here, and a lot of economists have said, look, but before we've seen this fluctuation in the stock market, it's up to 25,000. I remember back when I used to trade the stock market. I remember when it broke 5,000. It was like everybody was jumping up and down because it broke 5,000.
Yeah.
And here we are, 25,000,
No.
and it's overinflated. How the heck did it get that high in 40 years? It's like
we know how it happened.
Overinflation. So all that money can be pulled out in an instant. We saw how quickly it fell 1,000 points, and 1,000-point fall in a $25,000 stock market is nothing.
Right.
It's minor profit taking.
Facebook lost billions overnight.
Well, yeah, Facebook is. We can go down that road too, but
well, that's a whole different thing. The thing is that we're talking about even playing grounds, okay? Like with Russia and China, they're doing gold-backed currency, all right? And they're throwing it into a basket called SDRs, or special drawing rights, and all the SDRs are backed by gold. We're going to have to go there if we want to trade, right?
Well.
Right.
Here's the thing. Yeah, eventually, you're going to have to pull from somewhere.
Or you're going to have to make even trades. Well, like we did with Seoul, all right? What we did was we opened the auto market. Trump opened the auto market, and they said they won't impose the steel tariffs on them, but they have to cut their exports back to 70% of what they are now. Okay? So we still get some of the stuff, but we only get 70% of it, which, of course, keeps the jobs over here. But now you've got the trade thing, okay? Where are they going to get it in gold? Or how are they going to... You know what I mean?
Yeah, here's the issue. All this debt is in dollars, right?
Not anymore. The omnibus budget, the omnibus bill, that's all with new currency. It's gold. Well, that's why it has to change. It has to change this weekend.
Now, this was a little video that, some things just passed by, and all of a sudden you get just a little glimpse of something.
Yeah.
On the $100 bill, there's this $100 bill that was issued, the new one. Yeah. Right. That's got a lot of encrypted stuff on it.
Yes, it does. And it's designed to cut in half.
You lost me on that one.
It's designed to cut in half. Okay, I've got one. I'm gonna pull one out of my bank bag here so I can get a good look at it, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, because I don't want to mislead you or anybody else. But the $100 bill, the new one. Oops, that's an old one. Here we go. It's designed in two halves. Okay, right. The left half says Federal Reserve note.
Correct.
Okay.
The right half says the United States of
America. That's right. But what's also on the right half of the bill?
There's the little gold inkwell there with the Liberty Bell, and it's the gold 100 mark on the left side. Also is the seal of the Treasury Department.
The green seal is on the right side. It's a black seal on the left.
Correct.
Okay.
The black seal is the United States Federal Reserve System. The green
Exactly.
seal is the Treasury Department.
That's correct. And also on the right half is that magnetic strip, the blue strip they put on it.
Yep.
That is also on the right half. Okay? They're designed to take apart. The left half is trash because it's a Federal Reserve note. The right half is a Treasury note. So right now, the hundreds are the only thing that we have in our hands that are actually real.
Interesting.
Okay?
And this is the Series 2009A that I'm actually looking at here.
I'm
And you
looking at which one is 09A, yep.
Yep, that's the series. That's the series.
Exactly, yeah. Right. And I don't know if I have any newer ones or not, but that's how they're designed. The right half is your Treasury note, and your left half is your Federal Reserve note.
So now here's the question. With the Japanese yuan, Japanese, sorry, the Chinese yuan
Yes,
went live on Thursday, the 20th.
that's correct.
I'm sorry, not Thursday. They went live on the 26th, so that was Monday.
Okay.
Today's the 28th. Yes,
Today's Wednesday, yeah.
It went live on Monday and is being traded, and countries can now buy oil using their own currency and the Chinese yuan.
Yes, but they're doing it by way of SDR, or special drawing rights, in a basket of currencies. And yes, the yuan is in the basket of currencies.
So that's a direct challenge to the paper-backed Federal Reserve note.
Bingo.
Yes.
Bingo.
So you know, what are we going to see happen here? Are we going to see the Federal Reserve go away? I don't think so. Not anytime soon.
I think so. Why do you think there's so much stuff going off on the streets? I mean, come on, that's designed that way, right?
Designed which, when you say so many things going off on the streets, go deeper into that.
The protesting, to take away the guns, this, that, and the other.
Oh
okay.
yeah,
Come on.
We're seeing all, but that's slightly different. Now, us taking back our currency,
Right.
if that really does happen, if the United States takes back its currency, and I'm not going to argue with your explanation of the $100 bill note here, because yep, it's there. Are we reading something into it? I don't think so.
Yeah.
However, you know, it was set up that way for a reason. However, the Federal Reserve is still controlling all of our money, so it's going to be almost sleight of hand in order to turn around and change that over to all the Treasury backed.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, they keep us in the dark. We don't even know who's handling the money anymore.
See, now with the Federal Reserve also having basically the free world's gold supply, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, but that's the World Bank and
well, but that's also the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve in New York is got.
right.
I can't tell you how much gold is in there because I honestly don't know. But they've got gold from every country stored there. Germany tried to get their gold back several years ago, and they said, "Here, you got to fill out this paperwork and wait."
Right. And Russia's been stockpiling it and also mining it.
And so is China. Both countries have been slowly buying gold.
Exactly.
For what reason? And the price of gold has been, quote, artificially kept low.
Right. And
but
we
it's still
stopped mining.
12,
Most of our mines are closed down. I mean, the ones in the Midwest anyway.
Well, yeah, there's still plenty of gold to be mined out, and we're letting other countries. Yeah, and we're letting other countries mine. It was the same thing with oil.
Yeah.
I remember. Oh, this was what 2010 or 2011. I came across Lindsey Williams, and for those of you who don't know, Lindsey Williams is a pastor who went up to the oil fields of Alaska and started preaching to the roughnecks working out in the field. And he got such excellent results because the roughnecks became a lot less rough and things got damaged less and drinking went down and hospital costs and all those other things went down. They actually put him on the board of directors. Well, he became very good friends with the president of Chevron Oil, and they were drilling a well, and the well came in above what they expected. It was going to be the highest producing well ever in history. That one well would have kept the United States growing for the next 100 years. Just one well. And they were expecting this to hit all the news, go into the media and become world famous. The government came in, capped the well, and declared it part of national security.
Yeah, well, that's what we did on the whole Gulf Coast. Tap and
Yeah,
cap, tap and cap.
Yeah, so all these things are there. And now the United States is becoming the world oil exporter.
That's right.
Think about it. Things are going on, and that's because of the things that Trump has been doing, not the things that Obama set up.
Right.
All of a sudden, we're starting to sell our oil in a lot.
Right. See, we've already been an exporter, the largest exporter of oil-derived goods. Okay, but that's, come on, plastics and all kinds of stuff. Now, here's something else that was a little controversial. You've got one of the senators or congressmen, I read it yesterday, that wants to legalize growing hemp, and he has specified the difference between hemp and cannabis or marijuana. And I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, the oil companies are not going to like this at all. Because once you never mind oil, what about lumber? Cotton, polyester, all this stuff can be substituted with hemp.
Oh, well, a lot of people, they all point to Hearst and that he was that he caused the illegalization of marijuana. But it wasn't just Hearst. Hearst may have had, he had forests that he wanted to use in paper. And that had nothing to do with growing cannabis.
Right.
However, between Hearst and DuPont, they had a very Hearst controlled the media, and DuPont came out with nylon.
Yeah.
And
Teflon.
Nylon was important for this reason. Parachutes were made out of silk.
Right.
And all the ropes used on ships were made out of hemp.
Hemp. We had to buy it from Manila, from the Philippines.
Up until nylon came out.
Right.
So now you want to hemp. Yeah, we still do, but not nylon has basically replaced hemp as far as rope goes, because it doesn't rot. Hemp rot.
Well, not on the ships. They still use hemp.
All the ones I've seen are still nylon, but I'm not a shipping expert. But yeah, hemp is still used, but not to the extent that nylon is. But between the two, it was right before World War II that DuPont invented nylon.
Right. Yeah.
So let's make all hemp products illegal, and now we've got plastic and oil to replace them.
Right, and then now you've got like with alcohol, with the first prohibition on alcohol, everybody thought it was for drinking. Well, no, you could substitute oil with it. You could burn it for fuel, and there was major competition. Well, when they found out that wasn't the competition with alcohol, they went and opened it up. And so now you've got the hemp thing coming back through. But the thing is, with hemp, there's a much, much bigger market to battle.
Well, we live in interesting times, to say the least. So we're going to have to pay attention closely.
Well, these are opportunistic times. Especially if you're getting into like the hemp industry or something like that. Now is a ground level thing. Remember the guys that got into the marijuana, the cannabis for health reasons, medicinal purposes and such, that's still pretty much ground level. If you know what you're doing, you can do all right.
More than you can do it all right in anything.
Indoor farming, but it's a ground level opportunity, that has a growing market. And the thing is, but you have to be careful, because you can grow too fast.
Well, that's one of the things. Believe it or not, that's one of the things that kill businesses is
Right.
growing too fast.
Right.
And something that I appreciate that Maine is at least attempting to do in their legalization laws, or what they're trying to put together, is that the way that they're set up is so that mom and pop can get in on the business, and big corporations are going to have a difficult time.
And that's the thing. They've made it so far, they've eliminated it from commerce. Okay? The commercial aspect is gone. And since it's not in commerce, there's no regulation. There's no international regulation. Okay? That means
Well,
the feds can't jump in for anything that stays within state lines.
Yeah, you need to go become an attorney here or something, Barry. I don't know what else to say.
God, I gave up citizenship. Why would I want it back again? Oh my.
Say the naval courts. Go ahead.
Oh man, I mean, there's just so many ways of looking at things, you know. And I saw this cute little meme on Facebook, right? This is Moses was technically the first one to download information from the cloud onto a tablet. Okay, and I'm thinking, wow, that's lawyer speak. That's legal talk.
Well, that's exactly what it was, because at that time it was 10 laws that were given. The first 5 all had to do with Yahweh, and the second 5 all had to do with each other as human children of Yahweh.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, boy, this is where the misconception starts coming in. The Israelites were really the first nation to become a monotheistic people. In other words, they only believed in one God.
Right.
And that theme has carried from the Middle East to the West, which is interesting because that's the direction of the prophecies. They go from the Middle East to the West. Now, we see things going in each direction. But we're at a time where we're at the end of the prophecies, and so we got to be really careful about what's going on. And we're in a time of change.
Big change.
The man of lawlessness must be exposed, and that's what we see going on right now in Washington. And a lot of people think that Trump was God sent, or he's got Yahweh's hand on his back. We have to define God, because there are many of them, as the Hindus know, that they've named 330 million gods and demigods. Which one do you want?
Creation at what level? The hybrid creation, or all of creation, or, I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, here's the thing. They're either Adamites or they're not Adamites. And by that I mean there are the descendants of Adam, who was directly created by Yahweh from the elements of the ground,
right,
which are the seed of the woman. Or there are non-Adamites who were genetically engineered from lower life forms.
Right.
And the non-Adamites are much easier to dumb down than the Adamites are. And that might be part of the Rh negative blood factor. I don't know.
You could be. I mean, Rh negative means there's no rhesus factor, which is the ape factor, right? Which would be, I mean, if it's Rh negative, then there would be, that's part of the original tribes, right?
One would think so.
The ape factor would be the hybrid type. So I'm a hybrid type. I'm a hybrid type because I lose my temper. I'm short fused. I get emotional. You know what I mean?
I understand that.
But I'm also an empath.
So, well, here's the thing. We carry DNA from both sides, whether we're Rh negative or Rh positive. That's just another factor in there.
Right.
But we carry DNA from both sides. And so it's how we enhance or how we focus that our actions will actually start to change our DNA.
Yes, we can change our DNA.
There's something that has boggled my mind about this. Is that I look at my own case, and it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I found out that my ancestors 500 years ago did the same thing that I started doing for the last 50, last 60 anyway.
Yeah,
I had to be educated first, and once I was educated, then I took it to task, but I didn't find that out until the end of the story.
right. Now,
So
you
it's
see,
like,
we
how did I carry their DNA 500 years through all those generations to be the person that I've become today?
right.
That's mind-boggling. But anyway,
And now, well, we were talking about the issue of God and creation, and at what level of creation. I mean, you think about it, you've got right down to the family level. Your father, you're the son, right? He is a creator. I mean, without
Sure.
you, there'd be no life, right?
absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and that's one level. And you've got different levels of creation. So in that sense, your father is basically God. He's the one you obey.
He thought so.
Yeah, right? I imagine, and that's the thing. I mean, men are not gods. We're all fallible. We all have our downfalls. No one's perfect.
Here's the issue, is that we have forsaken our position. Both men and women have forsaken their original position. You go back to the scriptures and it says Abraham was a friend of God. Now, all the scriptures are written in paternal means, in other words, from the male aspect. And it seems like it makes women second class. However, when you read the account between Abraham and Sarah, Sarah was not a woman to be crossed.
Right.
And she was in charge of the household. And Abraham's household was large because they had lots of sheep and cattle and camels and livestock that needed tending. And it wasn't just him, but it was also his nephew Lot that were all together. And this was a family that was blessed and just kept on growing.
Right.
So, it became a nation, just as it was foretold back in early scripture. But, they were all part of a very important family. And the issue that we face today is that our family has been so fractionated that we're spread out all over.
Right.
I think of my own case. It's like, okay, well, right now my one son and his family is with me. Great, I love it. Except for the little pounding of footsteps over my head.
Yeah. And once a year you do a family defrag, right?
Something like that. But the rest of my kids are all over. I've got one in Pennsylvania, one in Maryland, one in Florida, and one in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we got to take this break, Peter.
We'll be right back.
Okay, we'll be right back. You're listening to What's Out There. I'm Papa Bear, and we're with Peter Kling. And we'll be back. Don't go away.
Let me assure you that our priority will remain to ensure stability and security.
In order to ensure the security and continuing
Stability, security for Canadians.
Galactic Empire!
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Attention L&M Radio Network listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the L&M Radio Network by calling 605-562-4203? No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 605-562-4203 to listen to the LNM Radio Network on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Brothers at Arms is not about being militant, though there is a time and place where that is necessary. Brothers at Arms is not about arguing, though there are times where things may get heated. Brothers at Arms is not about who is right or wrong. There are many sides to each issue. Brothers at Arms is about exploring those sides, about dealing with the issues facing us today, about coming together and, through opposing views, understanding the deeper truths that are in the middle. Join Ira Robinson and Joe Long each Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on LateNightInTheMidlands.com as these Brothers at Arms discuss what you need to know. Brothers at Arms, it's about time. Have you been looking for answers? Have you been seeking the truth but can't seem to find it? Late Night in the Midlands has the answers for you. Whether you are interested in the paranormal, aliens and UFOs, alternative health information, or just a little hope and inspiration, we have a show for you. Late Night in the Midlands, The Secret Teachings, Open Eyes, Red Pill Reality Show, Brothers at Arms, and many more shows. All here on the LNM network for you to listen to at any time that you want. Everything is free to listen to, and though it is not required, we are listener supported, and all donations are deeply appreciated. You will not find shows like these in the mainstream media. Go to LateNightInTheMidlands.com to listen. The LNM Network, where the truth has no fear.
This is TJ Sanfilippo, host of Navigating the River Styx. Join us each and every Thursday night at midnight here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Together, we will traverse the forbidden waters of the paranormal, the occult, our hidden history, conspiracies, and things that dwell in the darkness and the deep. Come, grab a seat by the fire away from the night that is closing in. I have tales to tell you. When the clock strikes 12, I invite you to join us here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Until then, stay safe.
The LNM Radio Network and Late Night in the Midlands depends on you, the listener. Without you, there would be no us. So help us continue to bring you the best guests with the best information and subscribe today. Information on becoming an LNM subscriber can be found at the top of LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Just click the About Subscriptions tab and become part of the family while helping the truth stay alive. And while you're at it, maybe subscriptions aren't for you. A one-time donation helps as well. Click that donate button on the right side of LateNightInTheMidlands.com and help us help you.
Oh, goodness. We're back. We're back. This is What's Out There. I'm Papa Bear. We're on LateNightInTheMidlands.com, LNMRadioNetwork.com, and 101.7 WCET, Columbia Talk. Music by Ben Sound. Yeah. Kind of catchy tune. Anyway. I don't know why I'm clowning around here. We're running short on time, and I've got Peter Kling here, and I really got to get him back on. Peter Kling, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Barry. You know, we started off talking about the dollar and kind of skipped around a couple of places. We know that there are things changing in Washington. There are things happening. And, you know, you just look at the news that's come out of the FBI and the investigations and with McCabe getting fired hours before he would have collected his pension.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's not just thank you very much for your time. Let's get the heck out of here and start praying, buddy, because you know they cut you off from your pension. You must have done something to upset the apple cart pretty badly.
Yeah, and then they told him, it's like, well, I'm sure he decided he wanted to make a deal, you know, and they told him, well, you know what, we're not going to deal. There are no deals. Sorry.
Yeah, so, you know, now the question is, what's McCabe, is he going to spill his guts about more stuff that nobody knows about yet that's going to go further down this rat hole? And with the executive orders that Trump has issued since he issued the one in December, on December 21st, interesting date, you know, regarding human trafficking and conspiracy. Conspiracy is an awfully wide brush.
Yes, it is.
You know, that's like a spray gun. Forget the brush. That covers everything. And you look at that document and read it, and it's like, wow, you tried to make money off the government, and you're going to jail.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean,
now, how many people in Congress are going to go to jail?
Right.
And so we've got people that are concerned about blue states, red states, who's going to be elected, you know, come November in the elections, and then they start talking about the 2020 elections and what's going to go on there, and they don't know that we're under a state of emergency, and we'll probably see active martial law enacted before the year's out.
It is. Well, it's already been national emergency.
Yes, Trump declared a national emergency in December, and technically we've been under martial law since the Civil War.
Well, war wasn't declared.
Since the civil action, how's that?
Yeah, the civil action, yeah. The war it's never been declared. It's like the war on terror or the war on drugs.
Yeah,
you know.
The war on drugs is an official war. So the United States has legally been on war since Nancy Reagan declared the war on drugs.
Yeah.
So that is an official war. It's mostly run by the Coast Guard.
You know, if you don't have to look too deep to find out that our government has been overthrown. Okay. And we have that duty to take it back.
Well, it was the deep state, and I've said this several times, the deep state was planted by the presidents who, starting with Ronald Reagan, who were all Knights of Malta, all under the control of the Vatican.
Right.
So the White House has been controlled by the Vatican right up until Trump.
Yeah.
Why do you think there's this contention between the Pope and Trump?
Yeah, and it comes back to Soros. And, David Rockefeller died at 101, finally.
Yeah, he died about 6 months ago, didn't he?
Was it sick? No, it wasn't too long ago, just roughly.
Maybe he died, came back and died. Yeah, I saw that floating around, but I remember reading something about 6 months ago that he died.
Right. Well, there were rumors of it 6 months ago, but this time it was confirmed. This time it was confirmed right from his estate. So.
Yeah, I wonder how many children's hearts he had go through his body.
Yeah, right.
He did have 6 heart transplants. Where he got them from, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, adios, so long, good riddance.
Yeah, and I'm sure Soros is getting his money from the bankers. You know, but they've locked up a portion of his funds. He took 2/3 of his funds and ran it over into what do you call it? All the protests going on over here, the Women's March and all that stuff.
All of his progressive organizations that he started, he dumped to $17 billion or $18 billion. He divested himself of it and put in because he knew what was coming. So here he funded these organizations. However, under the executive order issued December 21st, 2017. All those assets can be seized regardless because those organizations can all be looked at as conspiratorial.
Right. And like this latest thing, March for Our Lives, the key word in there, Hour.
Yeah, I was just going to say hour.
Okay, it's not lives, it's our lives. It's like whoever's involved in it. So I'm excluded because they don't want to march for my life. I'm not one of the our crowd. Like Carlin said, it's one big club and you ain't in it, right?
Here's the interesting thing, and it's something that we could actually see happening. All of these kids that are marching can literally wind up in FEMA camps.
Yes, they literally could.
Yeah.
With the ones they're marching for.
Yes, with the ones that they're marching for, and that's the sad part about it, because that they're following an agenda which is to take this country down. Now, and that, believe it or not, that goes contrary to biblical prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
The United States and Great Britain, or at least the United States, holds its identity right up until the end.
Right.
And the United States is judged by the return of Jesus himself. But
remember,
that's going to be in the future yet.
At some point, somebody's going to say, hey, prophecy is coming true. We're going to have to try to stop this.
Well, yeah, you see, the thing is that they're not trying to stop it. They're trying to manipulate it.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. They're trying to manipulate. Well, they're believing
it.
The same. The outcome is going to be the same. You see, it's all going to come. The prophecies are being manipulated right now to bring down the church, to expose the man of lawlessness, and that will lead to ending religion as we know it.
And believe me, that's happening. I mean, even he says, hey, my word is greater than God.
Now that's a Zionist agenda.
Right.
Okay, that's a Zionist agenda. That's something that they wrote out in which is believed to be from the minutes of the First Congress of Zion.
Yeah, and that's executed by a Jesuit.
Well, they're riding here's the thing: they're riding the same horse up to a point. You see, if you go back and I quoted this in Letters to Earth, and I'm quoting it from it's really what got me in trouble. It's why you don't see me on TV. But I quoted it right from the Protocol of the Learned Elders of Zion, because it fit like a hand in a glove when it came to Revelation. I was like, bing, there's the smoking gun.
Yeah, I don't have to write a book to get in trouble.
Well, they knew I was going to do this, and they've tried to stop me for the longest time from doing it, but they failed. Anyway, so here we are, and if you've read the Protocol or read Letters to Earth, chapters 10 and 11, this is clearly illustrated how, I'm going to do my best to quote it, but they make the comment that the Jesuits are their only competition.
Right.
Competition in world domination, and they also make the comment within the same paragraph, but we can amass much more gold than they can. Interesting. So what happened to the gold in Ukraine when Russia took Crimea? In less than 24 hours, that gold was loaded on a freighter, an air freighter headed for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they did the same thing with Ukraine. Yeah.
It's
all about whose currency are you going to use? Whose money are you going to use? And that's why you had the mercenaries over there. Three of them throwing rocks, lobbing stuff into the crowds, all wearing the same boots and stuff, Oh, they got names.
Ukraine, Kiev is near and dear to my heart. I spent parts of several years in Kiev. It's the only city that I really like.
Yeah.
I like New York City, but Kiev is just so much different. There's actually culture in Kiev.
Yeah.
The kids coming out of college have all been educated in, they know the master musicians and the major works that have been put out. That they're educated in a cultural end that our students here aren't.
Right.
And they can all speak, or just about all of them can speak English.
Yeah, they have a cultural education. It's something we don't get over here.
Yeah, you can ask them, who their favorite musician is, and even though they might tell you Tchaikovsky. It could also be Bach or Mozart or Beethoven. But
Right.
they'll go back to the old masters.
Right.
Because and the same thing, they attend operas.
Right.
Operas are cheap over in Ukraine. You go watch a play for a couple of hryvnia, a couple of dollars. You go watch a very nicely produced play.
Yeah, I'll go listen to an orchestra in a concert like that, but an opera, forget it. I can't even get within a block.
But here's the interesting thing. When I first went there, it just so happened to be. I made all my plans and was literally days away from leaving when the Orange Revolution broke out in Ukraine. And if my contact over there said, don't worry about it, come on over. There's really nothing to be concerned with. It's all peaceful. And it was.
Yeah.
I was there for 4 weeks, and it was a peaceful revolution.
Yeah.
And I got to see the president, Yushchenko, be elected after they tried to poison him. He actually survived being poisoned, and he was elected president.
Yeah.
Now, when I went back about 18 months later, and what I saw was a massive building project going on in Kiev. The money that was being dumped from the West was huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And while Bush was president. And while we couldn't stand Bush as president here, they loved him over in Ukraine.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what the banks do. They butter you up with a fat freaking payroll check. That's what they do.
Yep. Now by 2007, Ukraine was deeply in debt. They couldn't pay what they had borrowed, and they were trying to negotiate it with the European banksters. And the European banksters said, "Sure, we'll renegotiate your debt with you if you borrow an additional $150 million and earmark it strictly for AIDS education." Now, what that means is that, okay, you get to pocket $100 million, but really you got to spend $50 million to educate people about AIDS.
Right.
Because doing businesses in Ukraine, you bring a lot of money with you and you buy what you want. And that's what the West did. They bought the government. Yeah. However, they incurred all this debt, and when Putin came in, his boys tried to get Ukraine out of debt.
Right.
They tried to get him out of the banksters' debt. And here the West had made a major investment in Ukraine, and they weren't going to go down without a fight. And so the 2013 revolution, after we had the Mandela ritual death funeral, we had the 2013 revolution in Ukraine go hot, and people got killed. My apartment got burned out. I had an apartment which was right several steps off of Independence Square, right smack in the middle of Kiev, and it got burned out. What a heartbreak! But the real heartbreak was seeing what happened to the people. Seeing what happened to a peaceful people who love to party and enjoy life more than anything else, and now they got sucked into a war.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The best Saturday night in the world is in Kiev.
Yeah. Someone sent me a question, believe it or not. And basically, you've got the government that's jumping in on everything. Okay, we've got an oligarchy. All right, let's face it. And now, of course, with this, we touched on this with marijuana legalization, hemp, things like that. Okay, different state to state. How do you cut out Bayer and Monsanto, right? And the same way you cut out Bayer and Monsanto is the same way you do that with, like we mentioned with honey. Okay, buy it locally. Know who your farmers are. Okay,
that's support the farmers markets.
Exactly, that's the best way to do it. Support your local economy.
Yeah, bring it back home.
Bring it back home. Stay away from Walmart. Stay away from your big outlet stores. Bring it home. It might cost you a little more, but that's these
bring it home.
Are going to
become
stay
part of the economy. Yeah, support your local sheriff, so to speak. If you support your local economy, think back. I think back to when I was a kid. The local economy was booming. stores on every street corner. Then you had your main avenue there where it was like downtown, and
Main Street.
Main Street. All the shops were there, and they were always busy, and cars were always looking for parking places. And then it went to the malls, and we had suburban spread, and it starts getting out of hand. And then we start importing all this stuff from overseas. Oh, we can get it cheaper in China, and we load our landfills up with Chinese junk.
And now you've got your dollar stores and your, and all that stuff.
Because that's all we could afford anymore.
Exactly. Now, granted, some of your franchises are independently, locally owned. I'll give you that. You've got that. Your local McDonald's and stuff like that, most of them are locally owned. Okay, they're not corporate owned. But when you start dipping into larger wholesale outlets or larger outlets like Walmart. First of all, Walmart is neck deep in the FEMA bit, okay, in the underground.
Yeah, we should do a show about that next week.
Yeah, we should, huh? We should.
Yeah, we should.
Maybe we will.
Let's save that for next week. But I want to go back to this. The one thing that's obvious is that the government is, and when I say the government, I'm talking about the Trump administration and the military and Congress. Get ready for change.
Yes.
Because there's a coup against the president. The thing is, the president is backed by the military.
Right.
And go look at the executive order that was issued March 1st. This past 1st.
Trump put out a tweet this morning, and he said, he was very direct, we will never repeal the Second Amendment. Okay? So if you're worried about this man being like Hitler, it's not going to happen. He wants you to have your protection. He wants you to have it more than your neighbor does.
Yeah, here's another show, because everybody who from 17 up to 44 is already conscripted, which means Trump can call on any of the faithful militia groups and put them right to work.
That's correct. Correct.
So there you have it. And if you get a notice to come hey, you get a notice one day, congratulations, you're in the military. You don't show up, that's an act of treason under the new law.
That's correct.
Yeah, so here's the thing. You got to get ready for change. And the best way to do that is to be as self-sufficient as possible. If you live in the city, start making plans to get out and find a place in a remote area, because the more self-sufficient we can become, the greater chance we have of surviving this mess. It's just that simple.
This is the final revolution, the final revolt.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Barry, and I want to make this perfectly clear to everyone listening. Trump is backed by the military. Martial law it will be active and will be coming.
Yes, and he also, the man who started Blackwater, he is over here in the States. He got forced out because of all the lawsuits with the federal government and all, under the Obama administration, forced right out. And he's been trying to bring things back. And now, I guess he's been called upon, I believe, by the Trump administration to help out with this. And when you've got someone like the founder of Blackwater, because this is what they do, security, you've got a strong team. So
and we don't tell you this to scare you.
No,
we tell you this to be prepared. If you don't have the knowledge, how can you be prepared?
Exactly.
It's just that simple.
What I said about this weekend, the bank holiday and all, don't take that as being etched in stone, but don't think it couldn't happen, and don't think it's not going to. If you're going to prepare, you need to prepare now. You need to do something now, and even if it doesn't happen this weekend, you can say, boy, that Papa Bear, he misled me. But you know what? You were prepared. Okay? Get prepared, please.
I can't stress that enough. I really can't stress that enough. And if you have been storing food, make sure you rotate your stock. Make sure you keep updating it and rotate your stock.
I can take the heat of being wrong. That's no problem. But, I'd rather know that you're prepared, even if I am wrong.
I'd rather be wrong than be hungry.
Exactly.
You know, and so think about that. If you need to, hey, take some money and go out and get a pail of whatever brand you want.
Yeah.
Freeze dried food. You can get a 30-day supply for about $100 online, and at least that'll take care of you and your family should something happen. And the stuff lasts for 25 years.
Yeah.
So also, you know, that and it, even FEMA, the Red Cross, and I believe also the CDC says that we should have to-go bags with 3-day supply of food and water.
Right.
Now, if the government is telling you that, what do you think, you know, and just in natural disasters, forget about the unnatural disasters, but when Hurricane Sandy hit Long Island and New York, FEMA took a week to get people food.
Right.
And yet in the restaurants in New York City, because their refrigeration went down, were throwing out millions of dollars worth of prime rib and just beautiful, beautiful food. Right. Why didn't they cook it up on a grill in the back and start feeding the people?
Yeah.
Oh, lawsuits. You know, you see how stupid that this system that we're in is?
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't even give the food away.
Exactly.
It has to be destroyed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's crazy, and they're doing it everywhere. You know, I know a woman who travels. That's what she does. She just travels everywhere, and the stuff that gets thrown away is just unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely. We could live off the stuff that we can live on. We do live on their scraps. What am I saying? So once we become self-sufficient, now we just took back power into our own hands, and we don't have to rely on other people, on the government, or on anybody.
Right, exactly.
It's best to rely on our family and our friends and our neighbors.
Build a community, build a strong community within each other. I mean, nobody's going to do it alone. No one's an island.
You know, that's one thing I love about being up here in Maine. I hadn't talked to a couple of my, you know, the rest of my family, well, part of my family showed up, and so we've been busy getting them unpacked and, you know, doing shopping that they needed and just this life stuff. And I had two friends, you know, one called the other. I haven't heard from Peter. Have you? Said no. Well, his family's up. Says, oh, well, that's good. I'm glad nothing happened to him.
Okay. Hey, we're winding this down. Go ahead and put in your plugs, and we'll buzz out of here.
Absolutely. My point is, be in a community where they care about you.
That's right.
Now, my plugs. Hey, Tuesday night. The final countdown, we touched some really interesting topics. Letters to Earth, if you haven't read it, Letters to Earth, The Future is Yours. You can find it on BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon.com. Be prepared. And we also have the if you haven't listened to the final countdown and want to, you can find the links on my website, and that would be peterkling.com. And with that, I'm going to say love and blessings to all. Talk to you next week. I won't see you next week, but I'll talk to you next week. Be prepared. Love and blessings.
Wonderful. Thank you, Peter. All right. I am Papa Bear. This is WCET 101.3 FM, Columbia Talk, late night in the Midlands.com, LNMRadioNetwork.com. That, my friends, is what's out there. Have a great day.
Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months' worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that we're discussing a little bit later in the text, the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there?